Hey there, Crystal Thompson here for Simon Says Stamp. Today I am playing around with the exclusive collaboration for Stamptember from Memory Box. We're doing a rainbow forest and I can't wait to show you what we're doing. So we're making two cards with this amazing stamp set, and then we're just going to stamp this over and over, do some ink blending and pop them all on some black and white backgrounds. So this is called Life's Path, and again it's a Memory Box exclusive, so be sure to go grab it if you like it, because once it sells out, it sells out. We're going to begin with our Misty. I have a piece of Neenah 110-pound cardstock, and I wanted to use a good quality cardstock because I'm going to be doing quite a bit of ink blending. I've added that Life's Path stamp set, so you will find that this stamp set has two clusters of trees. One is larger than the other, so we're going to do 4 of the large bunch of trees, and then we're going to do one smaller set. This is going to allow us to kind of cluster them. We're going to stamp down onto the Neenah cardstock with the Misty, and we're going to be using the Simon Says Stamp heat embossing ink, watermark ink, and it's just clear ink. It dries very slowly, which it allows you to bring in your white detail powder, also from Simon Says Stamp, and place it all. I really love this detail powder because it is very, very fine, and as you can see, this stamp set has a lot of very fine lines. The illustrations are very delicate. I've heat set that, melted it, and so now we're going to go ahead and continue on. And I found it was easiest, instead of shifting my stamp set, I would just remove the cardstock, right, because we're going to heat emboss it, and then once it's cooled off, I'm going to put it onto my paper trimmer and then kind of slide off the other side of the cardstock, and that way it's going to make it super easy to do ink blending, and then again to just continue stamping over and over using the Misty and all of our heat embossing accoutrements. So I'm going to finish this one up. I'm going to repeat the process like I mentioned, 4 with a large one and then 1s with the little one. So we're going to begin with 2 colors of distress oxides for each slot or each cluster of trees. We're going to start with the red, and then we're going to bring in the wild honey onto the other side. And the heat embossing is going to resist that color, so don't worry, it's not going to stay permanent. We're going to bring in a dry cloth later and remove that extra stuff that's landed on top of the heat embossing. So we brought wild honey, bringing in shabby shutters for the next one. And so I actually had to go Google my rainbow order, and then I realized, you know what, it's okay. We don't have to use exactly rainbow colors. So I'm going to bring in a brighter green. This is peeled, and then peeled paint. And then we're going to be using the faded jeans. And this one was a little rougher, right? That blue is quite bright. Moving on to peacock feathers and purple, which is wilted violet. And I am doing all this ink blending with, of course, some ink blenders and doing it on a rubber surface. So be sure that you cover your surface. Next and last, we're going to be using the picked raspberry and abandoned coral. And you can see how this cluster of trees is just a little bit smaller. I am trying to flick water on all of them before it dries so you get that awesome distressed look. So now that they're completely dry, I'm going to bring in my scissors and I'm going to fussy cut all around the trees. And again, this took me about 5 to 10 minutes. I kind of did it in front of the TV, and you can see I'm removing that top layer of ink from the embossed ink, and you can see it really pops up, and the colors are absolutely beautiful. I feel like this one looks like a sunrise or a sunset, depending where you're at in the world. And we're just going to go ahead and trim all of them before we proceed to putting our card together. All right, so as you can see, I've pre-cut them all. We are ready to go, and we're going to make 2 cards. I originally wanted to make 1 card with the whole rainbow order, but I couldn't get it to fit, and then I didn't want to make a humongo card, so I decided to do 2. I have the sentiments also heat embossed onto black cardstock, and now we're going to move on to assembling our card. So I'm going to remove all the little pieces, and we are going to begin assembling that first card. So I have this die. This is from Reverse Confetti, and all the products will be listed below. And I really wanted to try to keep the stuff needed for the card at a minimum. However, I really wanted to get some cool abstract look dies, and I thought this one was perfect. So I've die cut it out of black ink, and I'm using my black cardstock, and then I am using just the roller glue, and I have it down on a slimline card, which is about 4 inches by 6 inches. I'm gonna use 2 of the rainbows, and I'm gonna do like the first set of 3 that we blended, which is like that sunset color, then the yellow with green. And so that first one's gonna go right on the center with normal adhesive, and then the other 2, we're gonna stick some foam adhesive to them. I'm gonna bring my huge roll of foam. This foam is from Studio Cadia, and you can use whatever you like. So this is black, and it doesn't matter if you're using black or white. I just thought it'd be fun to use a humongo black roll. And then we're going to move on to the next one, cut our strip, place it on the back, give it a nice little massage so it allows us to remove that backing. And if you find that you cut it way too long, you can just fold it back. We're going to begin the placement. I'm going to place these 2 strips of trees right on the top, then move on to the next one. And I didn't show you my struggling with the backing of the foam. Now I'm really quite happy with this. Just gonna press down, make sure it is all nice and stuck. I'm gonna bring in a piece of vellum. And I love keeping scraps because then they're perfect for this type of card where you're just kind of, you know, going your way. Sometimes cards are planned and sometimes they're not. This one didn't go quite as planned, so we ended up with 2. And that's okay. We're going to press this down using some glue dots just so it holds on very, very good. Sometimes when you're putting adhesive on Distress Oxide blends, it kind of doesn't let you stick things down. So glue dots work really well for that. And then I'm going to add, may your path be filled with happiness and joy. It's pretty neat, right? We're going to finish this up with a little bit of embellishment using Altenews Pure White. And this is just white paint that you can either spray or flicker. We remove that top part of the spray, and this card is ready to go. You can even further embellish with some white sequins or white Nuvo drops. For this next card, this one's going to be a little bit smaller because I wanted to use, again, another geometric die. This one is also from Reverse Confetti. And then we're using a Pretty Pink Posh, the scallop one. And we're going to bring in our adhesive. And I really wish I had clear, a clear foam roller. And what that would do is it would save you the time from having to fold all the little adhesives. And so if you have clear, use clear. And if you don't, use liquid glue. And if you don't have liquid glue, you're just going to have to fold over. So I did my best folding that over. We're going to press down. And I'm not too worried about the tape being shown because we're going to layer those cluster of trees. And I have already added my foam adhesive to the back of these just to not show you my struggle on this. And so this card did end up being about 4 inches by about 5 inches. It's a little more square. So it's going to still fit on a 5 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I cut that top part off of that cluster of the purple so I could bring it down and really center the sentiment. And again, we have a Pretty Pink Posh die for the heat emboss sentiment. And to make it coordinate with the other card, I'm going to do a splattering of ink as well. And I'm using the back of the little backer to kind of prevent it from really getting on that piece of black cardstock. I don't want the sentiment to get lost. And so, you can use anything. You can even use your hand, but I really want to make sure that the sentiment did not get oversprayed. And guys, that does it for me. Thank you so much for joining me today. How cool is it to make a rainbow forest? We're pairing it with some geometric black dies. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Leave me any comments, any questions down below. All products are listed below. And go get your memory box stamp set because once it's sold out, it's sold out. Thanks so much. Have an amazing day.